Hey, it's Meg. Hope everyone is well. This is just a small video to help with filmmaking and in particular actually world building when you're creating a story. So basically when you first start out coming up with ideas, it can be very overwhelming, and I think sometimes that can be quite scary, is like sifting through all the ideas and figuring out what's good and what's bad and like where to go with everything. And I think sometimes it can be so overwhelming that like you forget to think about certain things, or like it just becomes really hard and then you're like, oh my god, I don't want to think at all. Which is fine. That's completely fine. I think it just, yeah, it can kind of be a little intense. So here are my like favourite questions, I guess, to ask yourself when you are creating that world for your new film, for your story. Yeah. Okay, so my first tip is think about location. I personally think location is like super key to a film. Honestly, sometimes a little bit more than the character. Like obviously the main character is like the main character for a reason, but location really affects the look of a film, the feel of a film, the vibe that the film gives. I think location really affects that, so it's really important. So one of the things that I like to think of is, okay, like a lot of the time when I'm creating a story, I always come up with the middle first, and then I figure out the beginning and the end after, or I figure out like the point where the film is going to be like at its like climactic point. And the one thing that like helps with that is like, what location do I want that to happen at? Do I want it to be like a breakdown in a bedroom? Do I want it to be like a bus stop in a club? Do I want it to be like a breakup in a cafe? Like who knows? Like where is that location going to be? And then I like to think to myself, okay, like is that a safe space for the character? Like do they feel safe in that space? Do they feel like comfortable crying there? Do they feel comfortable laughing there? Do they feel like themselves there? And if they do, what makes that their safe space? Is it because it's got bright colours? Is it because it's like maybe got like, if it's a cafe, is it their favourite cafe? Like do they have memories there? Like what about that place is it that's safe to them? And if it's not, what makes it unsafe? Is it like a new place for them? Is it just like the vibe of it? Is it a scary place? Is it like, do they have bad memories in that? I guess going off that, like think about what places feel good for them, like what places do they enjoy going to, because I think that tells you a lot about a person. Like, you know, if you're quite an artsy person, you probably like going to art galleries, or you probably like going to museums and stuff like that, whereas like if you're not into that, like you're not into it really. Like, and I guess like you could say to, like you'd even ask yourself, is there a place that they don't particularly enjoy but like they also do? So for example, this is like a personal thing, but I'm really scared of heights. I don't like them. I don't really like going to high places, but I have been because like the view has been phenomenal and I've wanted to see it. So like that's a really big like mixture of emotions, because it isn't a safe space but also like, oh my god, it's so pretty. Yeah, and then also I guess like what places do they have good memories from? Like would that be like a grandma's house, or would it be like a garden centre, or is it like an old dance school or something like that? And like how has that place that's given them really good memories and really good vibes and stuff like that, how has that affected them into adulthood? Like how has that grown with them? How has that changed them? And kind of like the same with like places that are bad for them and stuff, like how has that affected their personality? How has that changed them for who they are? That then links to character, which is, you know, another main point of the film, and I guess the biggest thing in world building. But don't like immediately think to yourself like, okay, how am I going to make this character like super interesting, right? Everyone wants a character, like the main character, to be interesting, but also just think like ground them as a human. I think that would be like the most important thing, is like genuinely just thinking to yourself like, what makes this person relatable, right? So think to yourself, okay, like if you've already figured out their age, say if they're like a 20-year-old, do they dye their hair? Do they like have long hair? Do they have short hair? How does that affect them as a person? Do they enjoy wearing their hair up? Do they enjoy wearing it down? And I know that might seem really trivial, but again, I think that tells you a lot about a person. Like one of my friends, I never ever see her with her hair up. She will wear it up when she's maybe clubbing and a bit sweaty, like, but she always wears it down, whereas I like hate having my hair down, and I will usually always have it up. I guess just kind of going off that, like fashion-wise, what do they enjoy wearing? Do they wear clothes that they feel comfortable in? Do they wear clothes that like they think other people might think are good? Do they follow the trends? Do they not? Like, what style do they have? How, like, what affects their style? Is it like they see a celebrity wearing something and they're like, oh my god, I've got to have that? Is it that their friends have influenced them? Is it that like a music genre or a film has like influenced them? Like, what affects their style? What do they wear? Can they afford their style? Are they like, you know, aiming to reach a certain style? Like, what's going on with that? Thinking about trends, like, do they follow the trends? So are they like a social media user? Like, with social media, do they follow the trends on social media? Are they an avid social media user? Do they not? Like, and also, I guess with that, does that affect how they talk? So like, I say slay a lot. A little bit too much sometimes. What can you do? So like, how does that affect how they talk to people? Do they use slang? Do they not? Are they like quite proper? Are they like really talkative? Are they not really talkative? Are they talkative around like certain people? Do they open up when they're comfortable? Are they like quite closed off? Like, that really tells you a lot about that character, and then that will tell you how they would respond to certain events that might happen in your film, or it might even give you those events to include in your film. Just a little something for you there. But like, what music do they like? I think you can, you know, a lot of my friends have the same music taste as me. My bestest friend in the world, we have absolutely opposite music tastes. The complete opposites. Like, she will show me a song like, Meg, this is like the best thing you're ever gonna listen to. But like, likewise, like right back at her, like I will be like, oh my god, listen to this song, like it's the only thing I've played, it's incredible. And she's like, it's really not, but okay. And I'm like, cool. Would your character have a relationship like that, where it's like their bestest friend in the world has completely opposite music tastes? Or is it that they only hang around with people who do have the same music tastes as them? Like, how does that affect them as a person? Again, this may seem really trivial and like it's not that big a deal, but what career do they want to go into? Because actually it is kind of a big deal. I take back what I just said. I think career really, a lot of the time, will be the main drive for people in life. You know? Do I think it should be? Not necessarily. Is it my main drive? Absolutely. You know, I want to be a filmmaker, I want to create, I want to be a creative person in the future. So that pushes me forward in everything I do. It's most of what I talk about, if I'm honest. Like, my friends must hate me, like all I ever do is talk about film. That like drives me as a person. So like, with your character, what drives them? Are they in a career that they like? Are they not? Are they just kind of doing a job for the sake of doing a job so that they can then push further into their career? Are they doing something that they thought they'd really enjoy career-wise and then have realised, oh, this is really shit, this is really bad, I hate this. Like, because that happens and that's okay, but then how is that affecting the character? And I guess within that like thing, are they social at work? Are they not? Are they really, really good at what they do? I've been watching Suits recently, and like the main character Harvey, he's incredible at his job and a little bit cocky about it. Like, a little bit. Are they just going to be like an arsehole and cocky about it? Or like, are they more subdued? How do they act at work? How do they have a lot of friends at work? Are they more of a loner vibe? Like, what at work affects them, I guess. And that leads on to social life. How many friends do they have? Do they have a big friendship group? Do they have a small friendship group? Do they go out with their friends all the time? Are they more of a home bird? Do they enjoy just kind of having like a chill like pizza and cake night? Or is it like they want to go clubbing and pubbing? If your character has, say, a small friendship group, would they drop those friends for a big popular social group? Would they like drop people so that they could fit in more? Like, how does that affect people? Like, yeah, I think that works. It's not always that important, but I do think love life kind of tells you who people are as a person. Like, are they like a single Pringle and proud about it, or are they single and a little bit like, oh, I don't really want to talk about it? Are they happily in a relationship? If they're in a relationship, how long has it been? Is it like the same relationship since they've been like 15, or is it like a new one? How does that affect them? How has that made them change as a person? How have they grown as a person? Like, what, like, I guess disputes in that love life relationship have they had? Like, in the search for love, have they had anything where it's like it's changed them completely? Have they had any really, really bad experiences? Have they had any really, really good experiences, and how has that affected them? I think really does tell you a lot. Yeah, again, I do think, you know, that affects people. How does it affect your character? How does it affect your plot? How is that gonna like either feed into it? Is it just gonna be kind of something that's like mentioned on the sidelines? Is it just gonna be something that's shown in like how they act? Or is that gonna be like a main plot point of your story? I think, to be fair, one of the main things is just like, don't necessarily overthink it. Don't think you've got to include everything. Like, a lot of the time, especially for like short films, it's very like big show don't tell, okay? So like, don't tell me that the character likes the colour green, right? Hang on. did I say that right? Don't tell me. Don't tell me that the character likes the colour green. Show me it. Like, maybe they've got a lot of green artwork on their walls. Maybe they always wear green. Maybe they write with a green pen. Like, show, don't tell, because then you can focus more on what actually counts. But like, people who are watching it are like, oh my god, she is a slut for the colour green. Absolute crazy. She's like a little Katniss. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so show, don't tell. Don't try and throw too much at the audience either, because if you're like overwhelming them with information about like each character that doesn't really have anything to do with the plot, you kind of lose the plot and the sense of the plot. So it's more just kind of like, think about it, boom. You've got this. Happy filmmaking!